5, Zerocool Podcast. Welcome. Couple of things I want to go over before we get started. Number one, if you came out to Brothers last night for UFC 262, thank you for coming out. We had a great crew. I'm going to be posting those photos over to the Patreon account, and I'll put those probably up on IG later tonight. Also, don't forget, it is still out there. The Jägermeister Behind the Shot Mix, which was released about 6 weeks ago or so. That's still up and running. Be sure to go check it out. Big shout out to Chicago Nick. We had to bump him off today so that we could have Cari on today. But he'll be joining us next month. Be sure to check out his gym, Shadow Personal Training, 2618 Halstead Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. Speaking of Chicago, your former place of living.
Yeah.
Number one, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on, Cari.
Yes.
I'm glad this worked out.
Me.
Yeah, I'm glad this worked out. It was one of those things that we had discussed this the last time that you were in town.
Yes.
That I wanted to have you on, and it was one of those that you happened to be back, getting your vaccine shot.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, not to get into politics or anything like that, but yes, I was very happy I got my second vaccine shot. So
yeah, this worked out perfectly that you were here this week, and I was like, we got to get you on. So Chicago Nick, who was going to come on and talk about fitness and tell some old stories, was nice enough to be like, hey, show some love for the doggos. And
sorry, Nick.
no, I think you know Chicago Nick too.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to buy him a drink next time I'm in town.
Yeah.
He's up here.
So he was. So he had said straight up. I told him what was going on. I was like, Cari's going to come on. She's going to talk about her organization. We're going to talk about the dogs, so on and so forth, and it was great. First off, for people that don't know you, can you give a little bit of a background on yourself?
Yes. So I am born and raised here in Wisconsin. Let's see. I went to school for being a counselor, a therapist, and that's where you gave me the nice little nickname, Dr. Cari. Followed me around for a long time. And then I kind of just burnt out. It was a really difficult field, as anybody would know in that field. Being a therapist, it was a lot of work, and I often felt like I just wasn't ever able to at the end of the day meet my goal, when it wasn't necessarily about my goal or the patient's goal. It's just I just didn't think I was doing it all the time. And my specialty was in the addiction field and with mental health. So I burned out a bit, and I ended up moving to Chicago. Lived down there for a few years. Enjoyed it. It was a really nice getaway. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to go on vacation to Indonesia, to Bali. And now we have what we're talking about today.
So I gotta, so when I tell this story, I tell people, I was like, it's crazy, because I was like, at the time, I think we were both on Snapchat at the time.
No, I am not on Snapchat.
Maybe it was Instagram.
I have no idea even how to do Snapchat. I'm just going to be honest.
There was videos I was getting where I was like, oh, Cari's enjoying her vacation, so on and so forth. And it's the first couple of days, and it's you enjoying yourself. And then day 3 or 4, it's you on the side of the road with a bunch of dogs and finding them, so on and so forth. And
it was. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I wanted to go to Bali because it was someplace that somebody I knew lived, and I saw these pictures and videos, and I just really thought it was beautiful. And I took the chance of going there by myself. It's a little nerve-wracking to go all the way around the world and be on the other side and do a holiday by yourself. But, everybody I met was absolutely amazing. And I fell in love with the island. I just knew within a few days I was going to end up living there. I didn't know it was going to become what I'm doing today, but I knew I was going to live there. And there's a lot of things that just draw you to it. Mm-hmm. But when I decided to move, I packed up my apartment in Chicago and begged you begged you to take my baby girl, my dog.
She's running around here right now. By the way, side note, you will hear her throughout the podcast. She likes to do laps up and down the stairs.
Oh, okay.
So you hear this
Doing zoomy.
Yeah, she'll just run in here and she'll sound like she's out of breath. She does it a couple of times an episode. It's pretty funny. But you'll hear her stomping around.
So she, you graciously accepted my begging, please, because she didn't like anybody. She does not like people. And we knew that she wasn't going to go to anybody else. We knew she was going to go to you, and that was it. And that was a really hard decision on my part, but I am so grateful to you every day for that, because it allowed me to kind of pursue a dream of mine and know that she was going to be in the best hands possible. So if anybody knows Parker, they know Ozzy. Ozzy was my little baby girl for years.
Formerly known as Precious.
Precious, Missy, baby girl, whatever she may have been called. Yes.
She has a couple of nicknames around here too.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been calling her Mullet Butt.
She's fluffy as hell.
So during the winter, I think I stopped cutting her hair in October. I wanted to see if I could grow her hair all the way out like the rest of the Pekingese. Yeah. She
is a pure breed Pekingese. When I got her, somebody wasn't treating her right, and I guess you could say she probably was my first rescue. That was here in Milwaukee. Somebody wasn't treating her right, and I wasn't okay with it, and I just said I want her, and went round and round a bit and ended up getting her. And she wasn't very nice with a lot of people at first.
She's still not.
Yeah, she's, some people like her. She came with the name Precious. I didn't feel like I could change it, because I felt that it was rude to her. But a lot of people call her Vicious instead of Precious. And I mean, she just has a personality. So I don't know. I felt like she was just meant to be mine, and I hated knowing that she was locked in a bathroom in somebody's house for a long time, hours and hours and hours on end, and I wanted her out of that situation, so I got her. And so I guess she was my first rescue. And,
and so far, I mean, we've been great. There she is. So this is always her. So she has a bed under the desk here, and she'll find like a spot that's like she'll either find like a dirty pair of jeans or a t-shirt that's on the ground, and she'll be like, oh, this is my spot now. And
great.
I'm like, what do you have like 4 beds throughout this house.
She don't care.
Yeah. And she's just like, she's like, if I fits, I sits.
Yeah.
I think she knows that we're talking about her, because she's hanging out right next to us. But
I just want to tell everybody that Parker's done such an amazing job with her. Like it's Parker, a couple of years ago, we all know Parker, just big tough ass Parker. But I think having Ozzy has softened his heart a bit. If anybody knows him, I think they can attest to that. But she's amazingly healthy, and she's in her teens, and I owe that to you, because you've done so amazing with her.
I joke because of the fact that, like I said, she'll get the zoomies and she'll run around the house and stuff like that. But people will come up to me on a regular basis. They're like, oh, she looks like a puppy. Like, how old is she? I'm like, well, listen, she's a lady.
Yeah.
I was like, I tell everyone she's 6, but she's 15.
Right. She doesn't reveal her real age.
I was like, and thankfully she doesn't have any of her mature hairs at all. So
no.
But
it blends in with the white, so it's fine.
But that's the only compliment I get about her a lot, is that she's got really great marking. She's got great hair, and everyone loves her. She has chilled out a ton. Where like when we go past other dogs, like I think she figured out like, my dad's 220 pounds. Like, I think he can handle it. Because she doesn't, like, go after other dogs anymore.
Remember when I used to live over here? So I used to live a block away from Parker over here. And I was out one night on a walk with her. And she went after a police horse.
Yeah.
She like tried ankle biting the police horse, and I just was like, oh, like this is so embarrassing. And she was like, "Blah." I'm like, you can't go after a horse. And I mean, the horse had, absolutely no shits to give about it. The calf was like, whatever. But there she was. I mean, she was going like she really wanted the ankles, and I was like, you can't, you just can't do that. But yeah, no, she has chilled out a lot.
Yeah. She's figured it out. She's the lover. I'm the fighter. So now she just goes up to everyone. It's just like, hi. And I just give people a warning because she's got that mouth sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, don't go under her chin. Like, show her your hands, go above. And it's one of those that's like, once I kind of figured out like where her comfort zone was, it kind of made it easier with her being able to be around other animals, be around other people, so on and so forth. Where like I'd be like, hey, she's gonna bite you, and then I figured out I was like, don't go under her chin. Like that's the most natural thing for most people is go under the chin. I'm like, no, show her your hands.
I don't want anybody going under my chin. So I mean, if somebody came to pet me under my chin, I probably would bite them too. So I don't know why you would do that to a dog unless if they really said, gave you the hint of come here, pet me here. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you just reach out and pet me under my chin, I wouldn't be happy about it either.
I'm gonna transition a little bit. Number one, no offense,
Okay.
we love you, but we're gonna transition a little bit. So there's a number of questions that we're gonna get into. Number one, let's start out with, outside of the location of where you live now, drawing you in, what was it about how the people are there, how the animals are there, that made you kind of transition into this, I'm the dog mother, I'm rescuing dogs, the mother of dogs, if you will?
Well, when I first moved to Bali, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing. I honestly didn't. I had no idea. I did some transcription work online. And it wasn't anything major. I had savings. I put my belongings in storage first signed up for 6 months. I wasn't really intending on doing this long-term, haul. And just started to acclimate myself more with the island. And, just the culture itself. So the Balinese culture is kind of this blend, but it's a mixture, like overall Hindu, but it's Balinese Hindu. Indonesia itself is the largest Muslim country in the world, but Bali is this own little island that has its own spirituality and religion. It's like no other, throughout Indonesia. There's nothing that compares to it, and it's fairly. It's amazing to see that how many people still hold this religion so high. The ceremonies that they do, the songs, the music. We get mad if something, a roadblock here gets shut down. They don't care. They'll shut down the road to do, a ceremony, a procession, and to have maybe a funeral or, where they will do a cremation instead of a funeral in that sense. But it's just they kind of don't care about any of that other stuff. They don't care if you need to go down that road to get to wherever you need to go, because their spirituality is what drives them. They have a tremendous amount of holidays. I would be very ignorant to say that I can even understand any of them, or really can tell you what they are. But it's little by little learning. And it is overall a beautiful religion. Every religion has its negatives, though.
Yeah.
And we know that. And there's definitely some things there that I don't necessarily agree with. But there's things that within any religion people don't agree with. And it's not my place to say that's right or wrong. It's my place to know what my feelings are towards things that might be different, and that's only my place.
Do you grow perspective at all? Like getting how the people think this way, or does it challenge your thinking at all? Like when it comes to
It does, but I think some of my ability to challenge thinking comes, back from, my education and kind of looking at different, the paradigm shifts and, either being, constructive, critical thinking, being able to really examine things. And when people say, can you put yourself in somebody else's shoes? I mean, can you try to see why somebody might do something that you maybe wouldn't? It doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with it morally or ethically, but can you see that it's something that they might follow? That's okay. I'm not here to be somebody's judge. What I'm here to do is just know my feelings and my ethics and my values and stick to them. Mm-hmm. So there, though, the religion overall is, they want people to learn about it. They want people to understand it when they go there. It's a beautiful island. It really is. There's some amazing views and amazing scenery. But there's still things that are, I think, we're not used to in the Western world. Mm-hmm. Some things include, they have a huge environmental issue with garbage. And it's not just from their island, it's from the other islands, and beach cleanups, are happening constantly. And that bit's sad, because I think the Balinese want to, maintain their island for what it is, but it's difficult, when you have a large tourism population and a lack of proper rubbish dumps and garbage dumps and recycling plants and things like that. So they are making progress, and I hope that they continue to.
Oh, nice. So let me ask you this: with how their country is set up, I mean, you had said that there's an issue with getting rid of all the garbage. With the way I'm to understand how it works there, for example, to be able to own something in Indonesia, mm-hmm. you have to be Indonesian. Yes. So do they take the responsibility of handling that, or is it just kind of having the government handle it?
The ins and outs of all that, I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you cannot own property unless if you are Indonesian. You can own property for a short amount of time. It's not like it's something, this is my understanding of it, mm-hmm. I believe the length of it is 30 years. You can do what you want with that property in that 30 years, as long as it's within that building code. But then, after that, it needs to either be sold to somebody else or it's returned to, whoever owned the property before that. I am not 100% sure about all of that. There's quite some, some ins and outs of legalities I don't know. I myself haven't looked into purchasing anything, so I don't know.
So I'm gonna transition again. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try and move into talking about ACT now.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit on how this got started and how you and Ebony came to this partnership with one another.
Yeah. So while I was just, moving around Bali, doing whatever I, wanted to, and just kind of experiencing life outside of America for that long, I ended up rescuing a couple dogs. Mm-hmm. Helped out. I fundraised to get some dogs in the village that I lived in, some vaccinations. And I answered a call for help to foster a puppy that was found. This tiny little nugget thing. She had a huge hernia, and she had horrible scabies. She gave me scabies. It was ridiculous. She did the canine scabies. She was a scratching mess. And this other organization was going to take her in after they could find a foster for her. So I volunteered, said I can help out, and that's how I met Ebony. So Ebony Owens, she's the gal I do everything with. She was the manager of this organization in Bali who it had a few hundred dogs at the time. Now I think they're pretty lower in the numbers, but she was just somebody who was very well known there. So when her and I met up finally, after me taking care of this little puppy, the words that came out of her mouth were very Australian, the cuss words, swear words, and everything. I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. I was like, wow. I was like, I haven't heard anyone use the C word and not have anybody flinch. So I was like, yay. So I was like, you're going to be my best friend. And so we got along really well after that. And I ended up helping with her photography and doing some ride-alongs with her while she was out rescuing. And we just clicked. We really clicked on when she needed to jump out of the car, because she's got this vision that's amazing. She will see anything and everything, crawling, moving, anything. And, she'll slam on the brakes, jump out of the car, and just, her mind just goes straight to rescue. So I would start to kind of tag along, and as she would do that, I would grab the phone, start recording, grab the camera, start taking pictures. And she was already having a lot of that stuff done and doing videos and things, but I think it was a huge help when I met her, that it was just more organic, I guess, and fluid with what we were doing. And just kind of really learned about what was happening there more because of her. She's a wealth of information, and I absolutely adore her as one of my closest friends in the world, and her heart for the animals is massive. And she, like I said, she was with that organization, and I think she at the time lived in Bali for about 9 years.
Oh, so she's been there for a while.
Yeah. She's had a background in animals, and she's from Australia. And when we ended up leaving, we had no intention of leaving that, organization. She had no intention of it, but we weren't too fond of some things that were going on behind the scenes, and ethically. And again, you get back to those ethics, and that's what you can only be responsible for, is your own ethics and morals and values. And that's where I drew the line with some things. And I felt really bad, for Ebony, because she really gave her heart and soul to that organization for a long time. But we walked away, and it was hard, because she was a part of building the largest, and at the time the only, open air monkey sanctuary in Bali. Rescued, I think at the time when we did leave, it was about 40 monkeys. And
oh wow,
yeah, so it was, it's they do get captured there and resold in markets. It's really actually quite sad, because the poachers will kill the mother monkeys, the Mackays, and they will take the babies. And what people don't realize is that these monkeys are never meant to be domesticated. They're just not. And no matter how much you think that monkey is domesticated, it's not.
Yeah, you get those random stories that you'll catch in the news where like a monkey like bit someone's face off or some stuff like that.
Yeah. There's certain areas in Bali that you can go to and feed monkeys, and it's in the wild. You can buy a bushel of bananas and go, and but they tell you you don't show your teeth, you don't smile, you don't show it, because they take that as aggression, and they do. They do, because that's their nature. And you don't pull back on things. If they're gonna take a pair of your sunglasses, you let them take those sunglasses, because the minute that they feel that you're fighting, you have an entire tribe of monkeys then going after you. And right now in Bali there is rabies, so you don't want to be bit by a monkey in case that monkey has.
Oh yeah, that's like 15 shots over like a couple of days.
It's like 3, but
okay.
yeah.
So going back to the open air sanctuary, how did that come about? So like, if there wasn't one there already, how how does Ebony come up with the idea that one was needed?
It was after her and the founder from that organization had a few rescues for monkeys, and as more tourism came in, the more and more people went to these markets and was like, oh, I just rescued this monkey, and they were like, no, you bought that monkey, now you want us to take that monkey, so it that some of that ended up happening, and it was. I don't know all the background behind why they ended up building that sanctuary, but it was quite an amazing place. They sterilized and vaccinated the monkeys so that they, wouldn't overbreed, I guess. And introducing new babies to them, Ebony was amazing with learning everything she could about them, and also gathering information from another organization in Indonesia called JAN. They still do. They have quite an amazing challenge against them for wildlife, poaching and the wildlife trade and smuggling and everything. So JAN, JAAN, they also helped, just educate, and Ebony really learned what she had to for the monkeys, and introducing the babies. You just don't throw this little baby monkey in, or even an adult. You don't put them into a group of monkeys. You don't, because you have an alpha, and that is it, and it's usually female. Of course. And she makes that decision, and you kind of have these pods of families, and you need to make sure that those babies are taken on as orphans to a new mama, and they're cared for, not going to be tossed aside or abandoned again. So it's a huge process that she went through, and it was quite amazing. Making enrichment toys, making sure that they have the right food and everything, but still be able to get the right amount of exercise and live a carefree life without feeling, without knowing that they're going to get poached or anything like that.
I'm gonna back up for a second. What's an enrichment toy?
An enrichment toy is something. So you might see them in sanctuaries, or even zoos or whatever. Enrichment toys are something to occupy an animal with. So just like you would give your dog a rope toy, or maybe those like snuffle mats, like where they can go look for treats down in the mat. Other animals like that stuff too. So elephants like those big balls to kick them, and things like that. Monkeys they like some toys, some rope toys as well. The tire swings, things to climb, move, barrels, tied around, that are, the ropes might be through, things like that.
I've seen those,
Yeah. So it's just things to occupy their minds. And, a lot of animals want that. They actually do. And so if they're going to be in a sanctuary, situation, being able to help them maintain their intellectual level that they have, and monkeys are really smart.
And then, so with introducing the orphans, then is it one of those that one of the female monkeys then kind of assume the role of mother then, or how does that work out? Yeah,
not every one of them can. There's some that just, and I guess just like humans, there's some that aren't really into having a baby around them, like on an airplane or something. So
on a 15-hour one.
But, so it's really knowing their personalities and knowing, how they are, and being able to identify that. And Ebony did a really good job with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And again, it's there is, that other group in Indonesia who in Jakarta, they now have a law passed there from them, to stop the dancing monkeys. And, we all kind of think they're cute and funny and, laughable on TV shows, or, if you're on vacation, that you see this monkey dressed up and they're doing little tricks, but the thing is that monkey's life is absolutely horrible. And so they've they entered a law to stop the dancing monkeys, and there's always new reports, but they're really making headway, and that's Jan, like I said, Jaan, and
That's amazing.
They really have a huge presence within the wildlife or community there.
There's a couple of things I want to bring up, because when I explain people to you, I explain to them, I was like, you'll understand, my friend Cari is a superhero. I'm like, she's rescuing dogs, she's rescuing monkeys, she's kicking down doors in volcano zones. Can you tell? Because I've heard these stories, but
Right.
I want people to be able to get a picture of what it's like for you. Can you talk about when there was a concern for the volcano eruption?
Sure.
Okay.
So, it would have been a couple years ago now, like over 3 years ago, I think. Mount Angoon is one of the largest active volcanoes in the world. It decided to start acting up a bit, and she was getting a little angry. It was years from the last time that she erupted, but it was evident that something was going on. Now, again, the science that goes behind all that, I don't know. But what I did know at the time was they're evacuating. And there was thousands upon thousands of people that were evacuating around that area. But many people in Indonesia, as you know, a lot of Asian countries are like, they ride those, the moped scooters, motorcycles. Well, when you have your belongings with you, maybe a couple of family members with you, your dog isn't coming. And so they were leaving their dogs behind. They were leaving the cats behind. A lot of livestock was left behind. But of course, my main focus was the dogs.
Yeah.
They were left there. And a lot of people didn't know when they could go back. There were like little camps that they could go to, little areas that they were able to kind of just camp out, and you couldn't take your animal with you. And not to get involved on any level with politics, at all. It's an unfortunate situation when you have that, but we see it here too. We see hurricanes and flooding that, when you go, and, I'm not ever going to pass judgment on anybody who, needs to make a quick decision when it comes to that. Especially when you literally have your whole life going with you on a scooter,
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not my place to judge that. But what was my place was I wanted to get up there and help out as much as I could. So we were in the 1 kilometer area, which is, the epicenter of, if it erupted, it would have been fast. That's all I could hope for. But there was thousands of dogs up there. And we also knew that we couldn't bring them all with us because Indonesia has a massive stray and street and wild dog population. A lot of the dogs, you could hear them off in the jungle,
Mm-hmm.
but you couldn't see them. You knew that they were there, but you couldn't see them. They weren't going to come to you. It would be like trying to get a coyote, to come to you and,
Mm-hmm.
jump on, come on, let's go. It's not going to happen. So what we were doing was street feeding up there and rescuing who we could. If there were dogs that already had maybe injuries that we knew if the volcano happened to erupt, that we knew that they weren't going to be able to run to safety. If there was pregnant ones locked in cages, things like that, that we, knew that if something were to happen, a lot of times somebody from the village was still there. Bless their hearts for being that, person who was still there while the rest of the village was gone. But we were able to work in teams and, be spread out throughout the volcano areas and, try to help as many as we could. Some people came to us and said, please take my dogs while we are evacuated. So we are able to get them to safety and, pretty much have them with us. And, it was fine. We were happy to, the owners were, crying and tearful, but they knew that was the only way that they were going to be able to get them to safety at the time.
So you had said that there's a large population of street dogs that
Yes.
are in Bali. Now, one of the things that that you and I have talked about off air is the fact that you go out and you find these dogs and you help them. Can you talk about that a bit?
Well, so to kind of,
To kind of introduce everyone to Act4Bali.
To give everybody a bit of an idea of, when I talk about Ebony and I, at that last organization, when we decided to leave, we really didn't know what we were going to do. We were like, all right, we're going to go. This is it. Again, we had to stick with what our morals and ethics were, and we needed to walk away. And we had no intentions of getting back into dog rescue and, on the level that we were. But when you're in Bali, as most places in Indonesia, you're like, there's a dog, there's one there. And for some reason, you just become a dog magnet. I don't know if your eyes are open to it a little bit more or what, but it's just, you just go, all right, I got to help that dog. So within a couple of weeks, we were like, and here we go again. We're already back at it. So within a few weeks, we already had, I think we were over 20 dogs. We had our own personal dogs, but then we had, started rescuing. And it just because you leave one organization doesn't mean that it stops. The phone calls still come. The tags on Facebook community pages still happen. The messages still occur, and you can't say no a lot of times, because especially when you know that nobody else is going to be helping. So, and if you see a dog on the side of the road that's been hit and just left there, or a dog that's hairless and, struggling to live, I don't know how people can pass that. I can't. We can't. And we don't. So we ended up taking a little bit, but then we started Act4Bali Dogs. So which is what we are today.
So with Act4Bali, some of the things that you guys do, like, I thought this was kind of interesting that, and I don't know if I'm explaining this right. So what you guys do is you go out, you find some, a number of strays, and to help control the population, you're spading and neutering them.
Yes.
But you have it to a level now where, is it the ear?
Oh, so okay. So it depends on where we are and where we are helping. So in Bali, we try to help as many locals as we can with their animals and spay and neutering. Other islands, Lombok is a fairly large island, and they have a big stray dog issue as well. But on that island, the dogs are just, they're beasts. Like their strength is amazing. The medicine that the vets give to help them, make them, sleep during the sterilization procedure. It's nothing compared to some of the other dogs that we deal with. But they're really strong. And so because of that, they're also very wild. And so they do a little cut in the ear so that if somebody sees them from afar, they know that they are already sterilized. They try to focus a lot on female dogs, obviously. We focus on both because, it's being able to neuter a male can cut down on sexually transmitted diseases in the canine world. It can cut down on fights and, having males coming to an area if a female's in heat. So it's not like living in an apartment building where, you're not going to have a bunch of male dogs, showing up outside the door, but there you do. And you don't want to draw that attention. You don't want to have the street fights, because street fights then can mean that a dog is bit, and suddenly it has a open wound, and now it's not being treated, and it's not getting the antibiotics, and suddenly it has, it's been fly blown, and has maggots, and it just ends up being this big festering mess. And that's often where we come in, because that is the type of dog that if we are out and we see on the street, that yes, we will do everything we can to rescue that dog. It's often our biggest dreading moment is being sent on a detour. That, because we know our streets, we know the streets that we drive on, and you go on a detour, and all you can do is just be like, please don't let there be dogs on the street that need help. Please don't let there be dogs on the street that need help. And sure enough, there's a dog, and we help them. We do what we can. Whether it's being able to talk to their owners, and if they have an owner, can we help them? If they don't have an owner, can we catch them with a net? Do we have to call the dog catcher, who, hopefully is available, so that we can catch them that way and bring them in and take them into the vet and nurse them back to health? So
some of the work that you do is rehabilitation for the dogs and getting them back up. So once they're, let's say, for example, you find a dog that we'll say it was in a dog fight. You nurse it back to health. You get it shots. Yes. You get it neutered or spaded. What are you doing then?
We keep it until it's adopted.
Oh, okay.
So once we started ACT, there was the mutual understanding that Ebony and I have is that we don't euthanize dogs just because they're aggressive or they are disabled or they're old or unadoptable. We keep them. We don't care if the dog sits in our house in the corner of the yard and barks at us. Do we know that it's happy? Probably, because we catch it running around and playing with the other dogs. It may not like people, and that's fine. We don't care. Does it like playing around with the other dogs, and does it enjoy knowing that it has a nice place to sleep and it gets 2 meals a day? Yeah. I mean, that's some of our best moments is when we catch on our CCTV or we catch out the window a dog that doesn't want to interact with us but is out there playing and goofing around and doing zoomies with the other dogs. We're like, we see you. Like, I know what you're doing. And then the minute you step out the door, they're just like, oh. And bark at you and run away. But I'm like, I saw that. I know what you're like. So yeah, we don't euthanize. To have a dog, be euthanized from us, it really has to be a pretty crappy situation that they are on death's door and we don't want to watch them suffer. And it's not an easy decision at all because the viruses there are horrible, distemper and parvo, things like that. You don't really hear about it so much here. Like you got to go get Ozzy's shots.
Yeah.
You know that because but you don't really know what they're for. You don't really know why she's getting them. You just are like, oh, I have to go get these vaccines. If we don't do it, 100% for sure, the dog will contract one of those viruses and can die in our arms. And it's one of the worst things to watch. And we rescue many dogs that are like that, that come in with without the vaccines and they have the virus already, and you can't save them all. But what we try to do is medically and holistically, what can we do to save them? And if we can't, then and it's so far gone that they are literally drowning within their lungs or so, or their body is seizuring to the point that it's no coming back. And when I say seizure, I don't mean just one or two, like it's nonstop. Then, we have the vet come but it's not an easy decision we make whatsoever. And a little bit of us, dies with every single one that we can't save. Mm-hmm. So, but our main focus with rescuing is being able to rehab them and rehome them. Mm-hmm. And if not, then they can chill and hang out with us and until their heart's content. I don't care.
So as far as the Bali area and the other islands go, how many animals have you relocated? Do you know, or do you have a rough idea?
So majority of our adoptions are in Bali. There's, either they are to expats that live there. Expats meaning, foreigners that have moved.
Oh,
okay. Like I'm considered an expat.
Okay.
But so we, that our goal is to get them adopted there. The Balinese, actually, love their dogs, and the Bali heritage dog. So for anybody who wants to look up what a Bali dog is, if you type in Bali heritage dog, they are actually found possibly to be older than the American wolf. So their DNA and genetic line is long, thousands of years, and they have that same demeanor, same eyes, they're calculated. A Bali dog will sit and perch up on somebody's wall like a gargoyle, but they are calculated. They see everything, they hear everything, they know what's going on. I trust a Bali dog's judgment on somebody more than I would anything. If a Bali dog doesn't like somebody, I trust that dog's like bark.
Instinct,
yeah. They're great guard dogs. They're amazing guard dogs, and they're a part of that Bali history. And it's unfortunate that that part of the history also includes the lack of vet care and the lack of, I guess, education to, how to care for a dog when it is sick, and when, like, maybe, if mange starts and the hair starts to fall out. So there's things like that we've been working, on, and other groups have been working on, and the vet association has been doing a really good job there of improving their care and improving what they do for vets. It's not like what we have here. It's not, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
So that's, it's getting there. One of our main vets that we work with, somebody nicely gave a anesthesia machine for him, so we're able to reduce some of our vet costs because he's able to use that. But the vet association there has done a really good job of improving the education throughout the island and focusing on how people can care for their animals at home. And, it's not just, oh, my dog doesn't look good anymore, so throw it away. It's, how can I do this, and how who can I call for help, and who can I, ask to help me, whether it be a vet or one of the organizations there.
So is that the natural instinct for the locals to not necessarily try to treat the dog, but throw away the dog because of the fact that it's sick?
I would say it's more just not knowing what to do.
Okay.
It's, because it's hard when you have a society and an island, a group of people who their income is extremely low. I think in Indonesia, the medium minimum wage, I believe, is no more than $200 a month. So, when you are caring for your entire family and you might be the earner of that $200 a month, I understand that they may not be able to go and get vet care for their dog. Okay. But what can they learn as to, things that they can do, maybe better food, better treatment, like catching things early, learning about viruses early. And there's been a huge shift, and Ebony would tell you that too, from when she first started there. Now it's, almost 11 years ago that she's been there. She would tell you that the education on viruses and spotting a virus and knowing what the animal goes through with those viruses, she'll tell you that it's changed a lot. And we can see it in community groups and on Facebook and everything, that, if somebody posts, this is going on with my dog, you'll have maybe not the right answers, but that's okay. But you'll find a lot of people who do know exactly what the right answer is. And they will say, it is this, you should do this, it is this. If they don't have the financial means to do the treatments and get the treatments from the vet, then people will tag other organizations. So they will tag Act4Bali dogs. They'll tag myself. They'll tag Ebony. Sometimes we'll get multiple tags in a post, and it just drives us insane. But, we're there for them. And because it's not necessarily that they don't love their animal. It's not necessarily that they don't love their pet. It's that they just don't have the financial means to do it, and and get that dog treated, or get the dog spayed or neutered, or the vaccines. But we do, hopefully, if fundraising is good, we do have those means. And if it means that we can help them keep their beloved pet there, great. Then we're more than happy to do it. And we don't see why that animal would have to leave that home. We don't have to rescue it. We just need to help treat it. And, we ask the vet to go in and give the treatments, and the families are always grateful. We've never had a family go, "How dare you do this for us?" They're always grateful, and we love to see that.
That's amazing that you guys have been able to transition an area of the world like that, to be able to get them to understand.
It's just a small bit. Like, there's so many people there. There's so many solo rescuers like us there. It's a small bit.
That's such a humble attitude towards it, though. But really, when you think about it, you're re-educating a part of the world that eventually is going to pass that wisdom on to other people. So, yeah. And, with the Facebook groups and people talking to each other, they're educating each other. Yeah. What you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. And the fact that you have gained momentum over the years, and it's becoming more and more successful, that you're seeing this progress in this area, it makes you think that anything is possible. And it's truly an amazing story. And it's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on here, is because, you are extremely humble with everything that you do, but at the same time, understand that you've sacrificed your life for animals, that there's no way for them to communicate, reciprocate any of the things.
They do.
You can tell
Ozzy reciprocates love for you. Stop it.
Yeah, with that death breath that she has. She comes up and licks me at like 3 a.m. Like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? You going to pet me?" And he hits me with that stank breath. But that breath is hot.
You don't know anything like some of our dogs. Jesus. Yeah.
But no, this is truly an amazing thing. Let me ask you this. So let's say people that are watching this, people that are listening to this, they want to contribute to your cause or assist in any way. How do they do this?
Sure. So, let's just start with, some of our big goals, like behind that rescue, rehab, rehome idea, is also the sterilization and vaccination programs that we want to push. And being able to go in and have an entire day blocked out where we go to a village, we ask permission from the village if we can come and do a sterilization day and vaccination day. And it's organized. They do the announcements and everything. And so our vets go and the dog catchers go, and because you need it, because they're street dogs. And that's a huge bit. When you say whether or not we're making progress, that's something that is progress, is when you can walk into a village and have somebody sponsor a day, and we can help organize it with the vet, and we walk out of that village that day with the village extremely happy, giving you little gifts, giving you some of the best fresh fruit in the world, or some of the...
One of them's right over there.
Yeah, I mean, having some wooden, here, I'll get it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So having some,
that was one of the first things that went in the studio, by the way.
Yeah. So it's, some wooden artifacts. I mean, this is all hand carved. This is not some, factory thing. Like, this is hand carved and everything. They're amazing craftsmanship. But being able to, walk out with some gifts and, and have everybody extremely happy, and knowing that they're not going to have any more unwanted puppies being born in the streets, not having anybody dumping their puppies and throwing them away because they just can't care for them anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big thing. And when we walk out of there and, the vet by himself did 30 to 40 spay and neuter surgery in that day is amazing. And seeing everybody's happy faces and, and then being able to get calls back in a year saying, hi, we're ready for a new dog. Do you have any that we can adopt from you? Because we know that your dogs are spayed, neutered, and vaccinated. And, going to that village again and seeing those dogs that we've adopted, or seeing the dogs that we've helped before, and seeing how happy and healthy they are. And there's no more of the sexually transmitted diseases from, because dogs do have that, and it ends up being a cancer to them. And so seeing that isn't there is amazing. And it makes you feel like, okay, we did something for this village and we can help them. So what can we do for the next village? Can somebody sponsor the next village sterilization day? And, that's part of our big goal. So just to give an idea of why we do that, so far this year, just in 2021, in the middle of a pandemic, we were still able to spay and neuter 367 dogs already this year. Wow. So, yeah. And to put that into perspective, last year, 2020, entire year of a pandemic, we were at 533 spay and neuters. So we are above and beyond our goal right now as to where we need to be. And so when people do help sponsor those days, that's an amazing amount of dogs that we have been able to help local families with, and so that they don't have this issue anymore of unwanted pregnancies and babies and everything. And the vaccinations we've given, last year we did 807 vaccinations, and this year we're already at 356.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So going back to what I was saying before, if people, like, number one, follow you on Instagram, Act4Bali Dogs.
Act4Bali Dogs, yes.
Facebook, the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. What other social media do you guys do that people that are interested in this, that want to see what you guys are doing, what else can they follow?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram are our main areas.
Okay.
We also have Patreon, and again, that's Patreon Act4Bali Dogs. That is a massive help, because anybody who becomes a monthly sponsor on there helps pay for these days that we send the vet and the dog catchers in there and the vet nurses in there to these villages to help. That it covers a lot of vet costs, and you can become a part of our emergency care team that way. We put some stuff on there that we don't put on social media, obviously, because that's the whole point of it. And so you get to see a little bit more behind the scenes stuff that we do. Outside of that, we don't have Twitter or anything, so we're not on there. We don't have time for all of it. So it is just me and Ebony, and we do have some staff, but it is just us, and we don't keep up with social media as much as we want to.
I will ask this: what is the day-to-day activities for you then? Because the last time you were here, we talked about the fact that you wake up in the middle of the day or the middle of the morning and you have a dog that pukes on you.
Oh yeah, that can happen. Yeah. So all right, so Ebony and I, we both have our bedrooms, so right next to each other, but just in our house alone. So we have 2 properties that are right next door to each other. And the nice thing about the properties there are that they're cheap. And so we have these 2 houses, and we knocked out a hole in the back wall and put a gate up so we can go between the both of the houses, and the dogs can run zoomies all day long and do everything. But we have roughly 20 some dogs like that
at any given time.
Yeah,
or
just there.
20 personal.
Just 20, like in the house, between the 2 houses. It depends, but overall, on average, we have about 100 dogs in our care at any point in time.
Between the 2 places?
Between that as well as our other safe house properties, yes. So, but I wake up probably about 3 times before I actually want to wake up. I'm sure Ebony feels the same way, and the day starts. It just starts, and you're pretty much cussing and swearing as soon as you get up because, you probably walked in a puddle of pee somewhere, or the dogs are, letting you know that it's morning and barking, and, your head's just like, why? But then staff starts to show up and everybody's there, and you just thank whoever that they are there, and you don't have to go completely insane. And it starts with a lot of times rolling over and looking at your phone and going, shit. Yeah, because you may have been already tagged and messaged from people looking for help, and, or maybe something went wrong, or maybe the vet clinics messaged you that, something, wasn't okay with one of the dogs that's there. It's just, it's hard sometimes, it's just even want to look at your phone, but yeah, you do. I'm lucky if I can enjoy a cup of coffee, and actually have the whole thing. We're usually trying to get up and ready and just out the door. So I tend to probably stay back most of the time. Ebony will go and do most of the rescues. I could not do any of this without her. I just want to preface that, like, right now, I can't do a single thing. I'm there for the humor, I think, and that's it. Just moral support. Without her, I would be so lost. But I'm there, and I try to, deal with the dogs at the house as much as I possibly can. With staff, we try to, make sure, to walk them, some of them getting leash trained little by little, other ones that may need more medical attention. Maybe the vet comes in, we have to do nebulizer for one of them, like maybe they have a lung issue, something like that. So, we set up a nebulizer. We have a little incubator for newborn puppies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we do. So things like that. So, and there's times that, we don't sleep through the night. So getting up in that morning is really rough, because if we have newborn puppies, you're up every couple hours feeding them, or, if they're really not healthy whatsoever, just checking on them, changing the hot water bottles, changing things like that. So it's a lot. But yeah, you just get the day going. And once you leave the house, it's hard to come back because you're running around to the different vet clinics. And if you happen to rescue a dog on the way there, if not, great. If you do, then, you're on the way to the vet clinic anyways. So here you go. Here's another rescue. And, there's sometimes we walked in with a couple. There's this one dog. I'll tell you a little story. His name's Bentley. He's not one of the pictures I sent you, but his name's Bentley. So Bentley, we were on the way to the vet clinic with 3 other dogs in the back of the car. And we don't have some big, massive car. We have some little shitbox car that I don't even know the name of it. I have no idea. I mean, I think I could kick a hole through it or something. But so, we had 3 dogs in the back that had to go get blood tests. And we go down this road that we, always go. And there is this skinny dog, and he had no hair. And, you see, when you see that it's an adult, you just instantly go, shit, because it's not going to be an easy catch. Because they're just automatically like, go away from me. I don't like you. Go away. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have our net in the car either, because that was our brilliant planning that we did that day. Leave the house without the dog catching net. Why not? And so, we're like, well, we got to get him. And then we saw its leg. This poor dog's leg, its back leg was so swollen. It was double, if not triple the size it should have been. And he was limping. And so we're just like, this is not going to be an easy one. We're on a main road, and roads there are, you literally have a building and here's the road. So you're right up against, and there's really no room to wiggle around to be able to, catch a dog and have a mistake happen. So this poor dog, bless his heart, he just sat there looking at Ebony like, what do you want? I don't like you. Back away. And she did it. She got him. She, hoisted him up, got him. He was screaming at us.
Oh.
And rescue is not pretty when it comes to that. The screams and the barks and the wails that they give you, you're just like, oh my God, I'm sorry, but you can't let go.
Yeah.
Because if you let go, then, odds are that you could get bit or they run away, and then that's it. And once they know you, they're never going to let you come back to them. Like, they're not going to be that stupid again. Mm-hmm. And so she got him, she picked him up. And because we couldn't put him in the back seat, we didn't have another cage. Our car's not that big. And so where was he? I'm in the front seat and he's sitting in between my legs. And all I could do was think to myself, please don't bite me. Because he's right in between my legs. My legs were up on the dash. And I was like, I'm like, whatever you do not make sudden movements, Ebony, while you're driving. And because I'm like, if she slams on the brakes, if she makes a sharp turn, and he just was staring up at me the entire time, and that's not a comfortable thing to be looking at. An angry adult Bali dog looking up at you, like thinking, why am I here? And thankfully he didn't do anything. I was all intact on the way to the vet. Yeah. And we got him in, and the vet nurses were awesome and they helped get him out. We still have him today. His name's Bentley.
The little furry one. Or
no. He's a big proper Bali dog, and he lives in our house. And yeah, he's kind of elusive. He only comes out when he wants to, but he's a total lover. And he escaped once with the shame cone on his head, escaped once. So there I was running down the highway in bare feet, running down, trying to get him. Another organization ended up reporting him to us. He was a couple kilometers away. He ran. So we were like, you're never doing that again. But now he is fat. He has his hair. He's got this slight little limp, but a lot of shelters, in a Western, country like this, you get a dog like him in, they would have euthanized him. They would still possibly consider that at his age, and the fact that he has a limp and he's not super duper friendly with people, but we don't. He's our patriarch of the house, and he's amazing. And it's great to see how he is now. He jumps up on Ebony's bed, rubs himself all over her bed, literally rubs himself all over, and then jumps off and leaves. And that's it. So we have these dogs that you would have no idea the personality that they have unless if you had this opportunity to spend time with them while they rehab. And that's pretty cool.
It's crazy to see the personality on animals at time. I'll use Oz for an example. You're talking about how she rubs herself. Yeah, and there's times where I come home and she's in my bed, and then she wakes up and she's just doing that face into the bed thing. Yeah. She just rubs her face into it and stuff like that. It's funny. Or you can there's a photo that YB's girlfriend Dana took a couple of summers ago. We would play out at the Iron Horse a bunch, went for the outside patio.
It's for the dogs. It's a great place.
Well, I brought her with me while I was DJing, and everyone was just like, oh, Parker's dog, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, easy. She's cute, but she'll bite your fingers off. But Dana had snapped this photo of her where you can see her like laying out in the sun, and you can kind of see this like half smile on her, and it's amazing the personality that she has on her. That she's such a goof. Where, even now, she's a goof, but at the same time, it's. I was saying this to Cali the other day. She has accidents from time to time.
Yeah.
Where like I came home the other night and we had went out before I went to work, and I came home, and usually our routine is I come home, we go out for a little bit, so on and so forth. And she must not have been able to hold it. And I find a little spot, and I was like, oh, dang it. And I go downstairs, and I go get the spray stuff, and she's there next to it, and you can see that she's like bummed out, and she knows that she screwed up. And I'm like, dude, it's okay. It happens. You're a golden girl now, It
happens. I mean, people do it, whatever.
But it's weird.
I can't get mad at a dog for not being able to hold it past their capacity. I mean, humans can't hold it past their capacity. So
but the point
who am I to
being
get mad at that?
is that it's, if I could talk to her, I'd be like, yo, it's cool, man. Just little spray, it's all good. Like you didn't mean anything by it. You're not trying to claim territory or anything like that. But you can see that she's just like, oh, she's so disappointed in herself. And I'm like, it's all good, man. Let's go outside. Give her a little chewy to try and chew her up a little bit. By the way, she loves those.
Yes. Well, when I got here today, her little treats that you give her, she like definitely turns into a little puppy when you hand those over to her.
Oh, she's a little bossy too, because there's times where like,
I mean, I don't want to say that she got that from somebody, but she could have.
Because there's times where like we'll come back from our walk, and like I'll be like, sit, get her leash off, and then if I'm not moving fast enough towards that bag, she'll bark at me.
Well, she knows what she deserves.
She'll be like, let's go, bitch.
Get your ass moving. She knows what's hers. Of course.
But no, it's crazy to be able to see these personalities and see, especially over a period of time where you see these personalities come out. It truly, you truly start to appreciate every animal.
Well, we do have, like a handful of them that we, they're easy. They're easy dogs. You have them, they come in, you rescue them as little tiny puppies or something, and they're just friendly. A lot of Western breeds tend to be friendlier than the Bali dogs, because again, those Bali dogs, just their DNA and their genetic makeup is of a wild dog. Like I said, think of the American wolf and trying to, cuddle one. Yeah, it's just, it's probably not going to work out for you, So, I mean, it's just, they're not there a lot with that connection. But, so, I mean, you have those easy ones and they're fun. But then you have these other ones that do take their time to let you really see their personalities. And it's pretty cool, like, when they do open up and share. And, I have one dog, Johnny, his name is. He's a tiny little Chihuahua looking thing. I don't know, Chihuahua mix, I don't know, small breed. But
that one?
Yeah.
Okay, Randon, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Can you pull up the one of Cari and the dog in her lap? I'll put it up on.
That's all of them. Well, that's. There he is.
Do you have it up? Oh, there we go. Go ahead.
So let's just give. That's Johnny. So Johnny, aka Schitzenbag, that I announced this year, his name, aka Schitzenbag, Johnny, that little bag that he's sitting in, he's shitting it before. So Johnny came. There was one day somebody posted these dogs that were in a small cage, and they just looked like hell. And Johnny was in there with his dad, Kino, and his daddy's like a little min pin type, and Ebony saw it and she was like, oh shit, we got to get these, like, they're, somebody's gonna give them away. And we knew that they weren't sterilized and they already looked so extremely unhealthy, and we were like, we just can't, the breeding aspect of them, and they just looked horrible. I mean, they were so horrible. And we were able to get them, and Johnny, little Schitzenbag,
I love that fucking name.
He was not friendly whatsoever. He is like
that little face wasn't friendly?
Don't let that face fool you. He was an ankle biter, and I honestly was just like, oh God, he's just so mean. Why do we have this dog? And, and his dad loved me. His dad Kino loved me. He was a big part of our Tongue Out Tuesday that we started a couple years ago, and he had no teeth, but he also had a really bad heart. And Kino was obsessed with me. Like, Kino would stand in front of my door and just, and be like, why aren't you like picking me up? And his tongue hung out of his mouth because he had no, teeth. So like it would sit there and flap back and forth. And no, not the white one.
Okay.
And so he would, he's just a tiny little thing. And Johnny had no interest in me, and I had no interest in him because he was an ankle biter, and you pick him up. He's not far off from Ozzy, and like I was just like, oh God, like he just doesn't like me, which was heartbreaking. And then Kino died. We came home one night, and all the dogs were on our porch, and they were surrounding him, and it was really, I'll cry, but it was really hard to see because they were so attached to like everybody. I don't want to cry because I'm such a big baby. Kino was a really like sweet little dog, and I'm happy that we gave him a good life, before he passed away. And he had a really bad heart, so we don't really know what happened for sure. But he was, when we got home, like we think the dogs actually pulled him up maybe onto the porch because there was a bite mark, but there was no blood. So we think they literally pulled him up after he passed away, and they were surrounding him, and it's like they didn't want to let him go. And it was one of the strangest, and I don't know if you want to call it spiritual or what, but it was one of the most like moments that I actually felt like a huge connection with them more than I did before. It was just one of those moments that I just felt like I saw this pack mentality that they were mourning this dog. And so Johnny, little shits and bag, I felt really bad for him because he was so attached to his father, and he hid in the corner all the time and wouldn't come out and was ankle biting and being an asshole. And so I finally was like, that's it. No, you're going to love me. And I would pick him up and start carrying him around with me. And I finally was like, okay, no, you're going to come cuddle me in bed. Like, I know you want to be my friend. I swear you do. And now he's absolutely obsessed. So he's taken on the role of his father, and like just amplified it. So in a way to get him socialized, because he wasn't socialized whatsoever, I started taking him out in his little carry bag, and I was like, well, we'll take him out. He needs to start to get to know people because he needs to be adopted. Mm-hmm. And, he's this tiny little Western breed, and he should be adopted. It's not a problem. And, people always message us and say, oh, I live in, they call it like a COS, like KOS. It's like a COS place, but it might be like the equivalent to like a studio apartment.
Okay.
And, they're like, so I can't have a big dog, but I would like something small. And so I'm like, oh, somebody like Johnny would be perfect. But Johnny was not having it. Johnny was like, nah, I'm yours and that's it. And so he's really friendly with anybody who comes to the house. But he just, he's decided I'm his person, and I guess I'm stuck. So New Year's Eve, not this past New Year's Eve, but the New Year's before, we were out on New Year's Eve. It was this like spectacular moment, which, happened. We never get a chance to go out at all. And Johnny shit in his bag. So I was like, why would you do that? Like, you never poop in your bag. And I thought it was a one-off. Like, I thought, that's it. It's a one-off thing. It's not, never happened. He's never done it ever. But I don't know why he wanted to that night. It wasn't like fireworks were happening or anything. He just literally pooped in his bag. I was like, that's just the rudest thing like in the world at dinner, nonetheless. And I was like, oh, what is that smell? It's him. So then we fast forward to this past New Year's, and there we are again. And, we're making a joke about, Ebony and I, like, we, due to COVID, obviously a lot of things were different this year for New Year's. And our New Year's is much different than, American New Year's. And so we were joking around, and I was like, oh, let's take Johnny. Maybe, hopefully he won't shit in his bag this year. And he did. So, so he did. I was, I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with him. So he was announced this year as Johnny, aka Shits in Bag. And again, that's the only time. And it's like he knew I don't know. I think he on purpose does it. But the biggest thing with Johnny was that this New Year's, he was a big emotional support for a dog that we caught on New Year's. So, to give an idea of that night, New Year's night, a lot of other people, either you're in the comfort of your own home or you're at a nice party and you're doing a nice thing. And we had to literally have our meal boxed up right as it was about ready to be served to us, boxed up, run out the door of the restaurant and over to our care center. And because we had an emergency rescue for a dog that escaped a dog meat catcher snare.
Brandon, I'm just gonna try and bring these up. By the way, for everyone that's at home watching this, Brandon is actually doing this remotely from his TV studio. So, Brandon, do you want to pull up the photos of the dog with the injury? He's got a little bit of a delay, but he'll be able to pull that up. Start with the one in the snare trap, and we'll slowly go through as she tells the story.
So that she's a Bali dog, and somebody reported her as a dog that was in their area. It's a street feeder who knew that she was missing for a few days and saw her and couldn't catch her because clearly she was scared. And in this picture,
this one,
yes. So in this picture, it's not the blue rope that was after a farmer helped catch her, but if you look under her arm, under her leg, you can see there it is. That is what a metal snare trap did to her. And she was gone for a few days from the street feeder area. And so you can tell by how skinny she is, she lost an extreme amount of weight, and the snare traps tighten as they move. So as she struggled to get away, it tightened more and more on her. And thankfully, we finally were able to catch her, and it just happened to be New Year's Eve night. So that's our life. And we, like I said, got the call that the dog catcher was finally able to get her. And so we rushed into our care center, and our vet, thank the Lord, he was able to rush over, Dr. Katut, and we started surgery that night immediately. And we started caring for her and just promising her that she would never, ever go through this again. So as you can see there in that photo.
So we have a different one that's up. Brandon, do you want to go to the next two photos? Other direction. There you go.
There. So what we're seeing with this one, her leg was almost completely severed off. And thankfully, that's a very meaty part of a dog, and it didn't cut into her ligaments and didn't cut her bone at all. So we were able to do a very clean surgery on her. Dr. Katut did an amazing job. It also, so that's just one side. It actually goes all the way across her chest and over to the other. So,
Brandon, can you go 2 photos over to the operation? There you go.
Yeah, so that's Dr. Katut. Poor guy had to come in on New Year's. But yeah, so she is now with us. She's one of those dogs who will always be a little bit more afraid of people. I don't blame her. After what she went through, I can't get mad at her whatsoever for that. What I do know is that she feels safe and she's happy, and that is her right now. If you switch to that other one,
Brandon, can you go to the last photo, post-op? Thank you.
That's her. So she...
Look at those eyes.
Yeah.
What a cutie.
I know. That's what I just say to her. I'm like, but I know you want to love me. But it's fine. It's fine if she doesn't right now. She can take her time. She needs to learn to trust people again. And our staff at the care center are amazing. So one of our staff, Frida, she's been able to pet her and become friends with her. And now this little girl, she will only eat out of Frida's hand. So she has Frida wrapped around her fingers that much that Frida has to feed her daily from her hand. So that's what she said. So, and that's fine. Right now, Frida can't pick her up or anything like that. But the fact that we've made that much progress with her is fine with us. Yeah. She's in a safe place. She gets her own little bed at night. She kind of claims this one little, bed, plastic, dog bed that we have, and that's hers. Everybody, all the other dogs there respect that, and we know she's okay, and she knows she is too. Like, her demeanor and everything is just with people and new people walking into the center. She's not gonna feel comfortable with. And again, we don't euthanize because of that. We don't, say it's a lost cause. She's worth it. Those eyes are worth it. Everything about her is worth it. So.
She's an adorable pup. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely amazing. What you've done with these animals. I'm trying to get out of streaming this to the TV. There we go. Like I said, you have all these amazing stories. Johnny shits in bags.
Johnny shit in bags. Yeah. That's my baby.
This dog as well, and then being able to care for them as well, and then if you're able to find them homes, like this is amazing. And like I said, when the opportunity came up, I definitely wanted to jump on it to be like, I want to get you on here. I want to be able to talk about all this stuff. You have a coloring book that you're bringing out.
I do. So
can you pull that up?
Yeah. So we so obviously with COVID and everything and the pandemic of what was happening, a lot of things halted, and yeah, America definitely saw things halt and things were shut down. But, when you're on an island that, can take you 5-6 hours to get across, it's that relies solely on tourism. That also means that, little treats and things like that brought for the dogs and people to come visit them stopped. And I mean, things stopped here, but like, it was like being cut off from everything. And so it was kind of nice though, because we were able to slow down a bit. And one of the things that we did was we have this pretty cool rescue dogs book, coloring book that we made. And every single dog in here is a dog that we've rescued, and we kind of added some cute little things with them. But
that one.
Yeah, right. Yes, Merlin's our big pug.
Can you show that to this camera right here?
Which one? So Merlin. That's Merlin. So even, so part of what we did was pull together some of our favorites and some of our favorite rescues, and I'll give you one here. So if you pull up those pictures, so this is Wiggles. Where is he? Am I able to show it or no?
Yeah, that's coming up. Randon, I don't know if you're able to, if that was one of the ones that you weren't able to. The dog with the tongue hanging out.
Yeah. So no, not the Dalmatian one, the black and white one. So he, No, that's Stella.
Oh, that's Stella.
No, maybe it's one of the pictures you couldn't get. That's Onyx. No.
That's Onyx. Okay.
Yeah, I know her.
It might have been one of the ones that.
Oh, one of the ones you can't. So
Yeah.
So like the picture I just showed is a dog named Wiggles. Wiggles is a Dalmatian, and we rescued him as a tiny little puppy, and we had no idea that he was a Dalmatian.
Oh,
at the time.
So this file's a part. I know why this couldn't go, but here we can pull it up on here.
So that's Wiggles. He's deaf, and we didn't know that right away. And he was paralyzed. So we ended up having to amputate his back legs because as he had some huge growth spurts, a Dalmatian, he just wasn't able to deal with the back leg issue and, the weight issue. So he's, again, not a dog that we will say it's too hard. He is now one of our forever dogs, I guess you could say. And he's in our coloring book, and he's Wiggles, and because he wiggles around. And
I think you've sent me video of him.
Yeah, he's quite a little shithead, but we love him.
Wasn't he? Was he playing with I forgot what he was playing with. Was he playing with a shovel or something?
He'll do anything he wants to play with. He'll decide to play with. But because he is paralyzed, he has no control over going to the bathroom. So he has this little drag bag that he wears, and yeah, I mean he's just the happiest, dopiest dog in the world. But so there's dogs like that in this coloring book, and we're in here. We kind of chose some good pictures, and there's a young guy in Bali who is from Jakarta, and he ended up doing the whole book for us, like the illustrations and everything. So it's a part of fundraising. So all the proceeds go towards the dogs. And what we are fundraising with the coloring books is a blood machine for our Dr. Katut to be able to use at our care center. So that was one of our big projects during this pandemic. And the other big project was that we had to kind of rethink how we wanted things to go and our focus. And we had to close down our puppy house, not because we didn't have any more puppies, but because we needed to eliminate one safe house and, kind of condense things. And we had to let go of another safe house just because of financial. And we actually ended up opening and getting a 3-story building that it's called our care center, and it's just private for us, but it houses our dogs. Dr. Katut can go in and do the surgeries that he needs to do, sterilizations. There's some major surgeries that we will take to the outside clinics, but he's able to do things there and monitor them there, and we're able to do quarantine for the dogs, any puppies that come in with viruses. And it is on the beach, and it's kind of nice because the salt water and everything, you kind of hope that it's a healing aspect of it, but the views are amazing on top, but it's a lot of work. And even though things are condensed and we're really, really proud of it, it's still a lot of work. And right now we are in desperate need for the next year's rent. And so that is roughly about, I think in US dollar, I think it's roughly around $3,700 a year. Keep in mind, it's a massive property. It's 3 stories, and we have about 40 animals there. So we're pretty proud of it, but it's something that we do need to keep up with, and it is work, but it's worth it. Being able to have dogs like the one that we showed you, and Wiggles, and Bentley was there for a while before he moved into our house, and
I was looking for Bentley.
Bentley's not in the picture.
Okay.
But if you wanted to show, I don't know if Randon can show the before and afters of Stella.
Stella Randon, that's the one with the teeth. Yeah, he's pulling it up.
Okay. So, like, if she can go up on the...
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so-
she's up on the...
So this is Stella. Stella was dumped in a cemetery, which is a common dumping ground for dogs. And clearly, she is a Western, what we call, Western breed, special breed dog. And she was obviously dumped because of her skin condition. And we knew that she was used for breeding, because you can tell. And she, absolutely one of the sweetest dogs you'd ever, meet. She had a horrible skin condition. And then she came home, and that woolly mammoth, like, face of hers, she had those fucking teeth. She's hilarious. So she had these big teeth that grew out somehow, and her actual jaw was a little broken. So that front part kind of flaps around a bit, like this little bit, like. And so at first the vets were like, no, we cannot remove those teeth, because they're just like, they were almost in a way holding her jaw together, they thought. And then all of a sudden one day, one came falling out. And so they did surgery to remove the other one. And so that's her rehab picture. And if you show her now,
and that's her now?
That is her now.
Look at her.
Yeah, that is her now. Yep. That's Stella.
What a beauty.
I know. Isn't she a little nugget? She's hilarious. So, yeah. And she's one of the friendliest dogs in the world. She's just super happy. So, again, it goes back to that whole idea that a lot of it just is education. Because there's no reason why they wouldn't have loved her. They would have adored her. But because of her mange and everything, and it got so out of control that she ended up being what she was when we rescued her. But again, that comes from education and learning and knowing that it can take a simple medicine. And because now, I mean, man, she's amazing. So, like... But I guess their loss is my gain, and now we have this amazing little Stella. So,
I was just telling Randon to put up the graphics for Instagram and for Facebook
please.
for you. Once again, so if people want to contribute to this, you have.
Yes.
Oops, I forgot to put. There we go. I'm still getting used to this with,
it's okay.
with running everything on my iPad and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm totally confused by everything you're doing.
But, so
if there was a dog over there, I'd be like, wow, I can handle the dog. But this stuff, I don't know anything.
So the coloring book are available through Act4Bali.
Act4Bali dogs, yeah. So, or just personally, just messaging if there's people that want to message you, and you just hand them my Facebook or anything.
We're gonna link all that stuff on here as well.
Yeah, so we have the coloring books, and again, being able to have a blood machine and a centrifuge at our care center for the vet to use is a massive help when it comes to reducing our vet bills. And then so we have Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, the Act4Bali dogs. And in about a week, we will be rebranding a bit, because somebody took the name Act4Bali dogs and has it linked to their website, which is pretty shitty of them. But we will be rebranding. So we're really actually excited about it. We're still keeping Act itself, but it'll just be Act Dog Rescue. And we are now in Wisconsin. We are now filed for the nonprofit and under Act Dog Rescue, and I will be filing the paperwork for the 501c bit of the tax exemption. And that brings me to this amazing part that you are on the board for that. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very honored.
Thank you. So yeah, we've been kind of moving forward. Like I said, we had no intentions of becoming, an official charity. We just really wanted to just kind of be two chicks and, a house full of dogs. And, we've grown and become bigger and more responsibilities. So that's what we're doing. And so again, with those things coming up, with the website coming up and everything, and the new charity status here, pretty proud of that. And that'll all be coming out probably within about a week.
So yeah, when that stuff all launches, I'll definitely be doing an update on the social media. So for those of you that are watching, we'll be able to follow this and contribute in any way possible to help save some dogs, help find some dogs some home, help educate some people as well. Like I said, I've explained to people you and your story, and this has truly been an amazing experience to be able to finally be able to, well, number one, for a lot of people, be able to put a face behind all the stories that I tell about you. When people meet Ozzy, the next step is, I tell them her story, and I go, well, she's very special, but wait till you hear about her mom.
She is special.
And to be able to finally be able for everyone to hear all the stories that you've told me throughout the years, all the adventures you've had between, dropping into the red zone next to an active volcano, rescuing animals, finding homes for these not domesticated but exotic monkeys, and so on and so forth. This has truly been an experience.
I should also mention that there's an amazing now group. There's a couple of groups in Bali that do help the monkeys, and they've helped us with a couple of rescues since we left that last organization, and they've done an incredible job too. And again, they work with just as little as we do. And it's really nice to see that there's so many people from around the world that come together and work for the good of animals. And I'm glad I had that opportunity to go there to do this, because I don't feel like I was able to do that type of work here. And I'm glad that I can share that today. So thank you for anybody who's listened.
Again, thank you. Speaking of zoomies,
Oh my God.
I told you Ozzy just ran past the door. Once again, folks, follow Act4Bali Dogs on Instagram and on Facebook, Patreon as well.
Yes.
This has truly been an experience and an honor of, number one, taking care of Ozzy for you, having you on here and being able to talk about this. We do have to wrap this up though. Randon gave me a heads up about 10 minutes ago. I was like, we got to wrap it up because he's got to do the news. Couple of things. Once again, folks, like, subscribe, the YouTube channel. You can find all the information for Act4Bali on Instagram and on Facebook. You can easily Google them as well. Feel free to contact Cari and Ebony to follow up with any questions. Let's see. Next week's guest, I'm very happy to announce I have a Bellator fighter. Rafian Stotts will be joining us next week. And then the following week, I'm trying to adjust something. I have some guest speakers that I'm doing a cryptocurrency conference that I'm trying to rearrange some guests to get them to come on as well. Nice. So the next couple of weeks should be interesting. And of course, Chicago Nick's going to be on next month. I might have him on after the UFC pay-per-view, so we can talk some MMA, we can talk some jiu-jitsu, we can talk workouts, so on and so forth. Once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe. That's it. We will see you next week with Rafian Stotts. Take care. Be well. Mahalo.